Just
think
confirm that Travis Kelce is going. Where do you think this line goes to? Do you think it goes to 4? Do you think it goes past 3? Because I don't think so.
I do.
When I tell you Ford Field is going to be losing their mind with Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions playing at home. JSN, by the way, total bust. Calling it right now.
Okay.
Leagues on Underdog. We're still drafting Antonio Gibson over Brian Robinson, which is something I'll never be able to explain as long as I live. Never made sense to me at the time. In hindsight, it makes even less sense to me. Why were you doing it, people? Like, I don't know. Anyways. I'm getting to my best bet of the season in our week 2 preview, opening up with the Minnesota Vikings facing the Philadelphia Eagles. A pretty high over/under of 49. The Eagles are favored 6.5 points. My main concern for the Philadelphia Eagles is weather. Big concerns. Josh Allen can't play in weather. Jalen Hurts can't play in weather. They've demonstrated it multiple times throughout their NFL career. It's a major concern because they play in. No, I mean, Jalen Hurts.
Oh,
Is that
you
what I said?
Josh Allen first.
Yeah. Josh
Okay.
Allen and Jalen Hurts.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I said?
Yeah, that's
Thank you for correcting me, because I do make mistakes all the time, and nobody who's on the podcast will like ask me about it.
Yeah.
And I'll like watch it back and like, why didn't anybody say anything about me confusing Christian Kirk and Christian Watson? Like, are you guys even listening to what I'm saying? Anyways, I appreciate you there. But yes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen demonstrated this week they cannot play in weather. It's just a part of their fabric, I guess. So that's my big concern with Jalen Hurts. I think this is going to be a good weather game in Philadelphia. The other Jalen on the opposite side of the ball, is probably going to get a lot more snapped after what we saw in week 1. The Vikings lose in a disappointing game in week 1 as well. The Eagles play a little bit closer game than they probably would have liked to have played against the Patriots. Granted, they were up like 21-0 in like the first half, and the Patriots kind of inched their way back into the game. Any thoughts on that game, Jacob?
I am primetime Kirk Cousins. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so I'm guessing primetime Kirk Cousins is already kind of built into the 6.5.
Yeah.
Here, I think that's kind of the right number. That feels about right to me. Same with the over/under. I don't like either side of that game. Getting into the noon slate, which aren't these noon slates just awesome? Yeah. Like this one, granted, was probably the worst time noon slate in the history of noon slate, just because none of the games went long, and we had like a weird, awkward, like 15-minute pause of football, which is like usually you at least get to watch a blowout, right? Like a blowout where there's a couple injuries, like you get to tune in and watch the end of that game in the background while you're getting some lunch or whatever, going to the bathroom. And that's right into the 3 o'clock game. Weird kind of timing this past week. But these noon slates are just awesome in the first 4 weeks of the season, just because there's so many games on at once. And it feels like the NFL is doing a better job of putting more games in the 3 p.m. time slot too, which helps us out greatly. But the Kansas City Chiefs, -3 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars had trouble against the Colts in week 1. We're losing the game. They ended up winning by 2 scores, I believe, but Anthony Richardson looked really good. The Colts offense looked good. The Colts defense looked really good. There was a couple of weird turnovers on both sides of the ball, with that one weird DeForest Buckner scoop and score where everyone thought the play was over, but DeForest Buckner and like that one safety that came in and punched the ball out of the offense's hands. Does this line read to you like they're giving a lot of credit to Jacksonville? Or what do you think? What do you think this line? Do you think they just think the Chiefs are just that good?
I think this line is I look at it like they're overreacting to last week's Thursday night game
with the Lions and the Chiefs. So this is in Jacksonville.
Yes. No, I see. No, I think Travis Kelce hasn't been announced if he's going to play on Sunday.
I think he's going to play.
I think he's going to play.
That's just a gut feeling.
I think he's going to play as well. I saw a report saying that he worked out on Saturday and didn't have any swelling after, so that's good news.
If it's confirmed that Travis Kelce is going, where do you think this line goes to? Do you think it goes to 1.5? Do you think it goes to 4? Do you think it goes past 3? I don't think so.
I do.
You do?
Yeah,
So if you think,
I think a lot of this is looking at the receivers that Kansas City has this year.
yeah,
And if Kelsey doesn't play, we saw there's going to be problems with where's the ball getting thrown to.
yeah. Hopefully
And
Rashee Rice, by the way, SMU. Looks really, really good in
yeah,
limited action. Definitely not to Kadarius Toney, who saw less snaps than Rashee Rice.
yeah,
Would love to see Rashee Rice take over the snaps for Sky Moore.
yeah.
In that offense, second to Travis Kelsey. I think the Jags are good.
I do too.
I think what we saw in week one with the Jags and the Colts is the Colts team that has a lot of juice because they love their quarterback in rookie Anthony Richardson. The defense is healthy, like as healthy as they've been in a really long time. Their defense looks really good in Indianapolis. And they've got a couple of good, we'll see what happens with Alec Pierce. Had a really disappointing preseason and an even more disappointing week one of the regular season. But Pittman seems to be in line for a career year. And then it feels like all they need is a superstar running back on this team to really fill out the roster because the
Yeah,
offensive line did their job too. So maybe they like the Chiefs just signed Chris Jones, go ahead and make things right with their superstar running back and live and die with them. Because this team, I think the Colts team might be able to go this year. We'll see.
we'll
Big
see.
big swing on the fumble, scoop and score. That's a big point swing on a single play. So that's you definitely got to take that in consideration. But Colts didn't look terrible in that game. So for that reason, I think this line looks pretty good to me.
Yeah,
I don't like either side of it too much. If I had to lean one side, I would probably lean the Jags at home getting points, just because I think the Jags are pretty good, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs are struggling right now, even if Travis Kelsey plays. With that being said, I'm going to wait until Travis Kelsey is announced a starter, and if that line, like you think it is going to move to like 4 or 4.5, I think I'm going to hit the Jags for plus 4.5 at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are struggling. They just got to keep it close. So that's the side I would lean. I think that line's pretty good for right now. Las Vegas Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills look absolutely horrible in week one. Again, a weather game. I don't know what the weather is looking like for this game against the Raiders. They're expecting the Buffalo Bills to absolutely slaughter the Raiders. And as much as I want to fade the Bills after week one, how terrible they looked against the Jets after getting demoralized by losing their superstar savior and getting placed back into action, the guy that they was the reason they brought in the savior for. They were demoralized, but as a team, they still kind of held it together for that game, and ended up beating the Bills, even though they had no business doing that. But this just feels like a bounce back game to me for the Bills. They're going to go ahead and beat up on the Raiders. If I had to lean away, I would take that 8.5 points just because of what we saw out of the Bills in week one. There's still great weapons on the offensive side of the ball for the Raiders. So it feels like they can hang with the Bills, maybe get 80-yard Josh Jacobs garbage time run to cover that 8.5. So I would lean the Raiders, maybe almost bet the Raiders. What do you think, Jacob?
I'm betting the Bills on this, honestly.
Really bounce back game. I like it. And that, yeah.
At home.
Yeah. So you're saying bounce back game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, which just makes me not want to bet the Raiders. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson looked horrible in week one against a bad team. Really, really bad team, a really, really poorly coached team in the Houston Texans. Cincinnati Bengals, I think, ran into a buzzsaw in the Cleveland Browns. I think Cleveland Browns are fucking legit. I think Joe Burrow's knee calf issue is a little bit under exaggerated. I think it's a serious issue and gives me serious concern for his play. Zay Flowers looks amazing. I think Mark Andrews looks incredible. Um, Bengals has ran into a buzzsaw looking to bounce back after a disappointing week one loss. They're back at home. The spread is -3 Bengals, basically saying the Bengals and the Ravens are an even football team. Um, and for that reason, I think I'm going to bet the Ravens +3. At least that's what I'm thinking. right now before I check the injury report, betting on Mark Andrews to come back. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I look at this and I go, I don't want to touch this. I don't want to bet on this with a 10-foot pole. Like, it's a bunch of uncertainty, but I'll take the points. I mean, honestly, it could be 28-7 one way or the other. I mean, we just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, they just could be a close game. If you're getting 3 points and you're the Ravens, why wouldn't you take it?
Yeah.
I think the injury concerns for the Ravens are far less concerning than the Bengals and Joe Burrow with that calf. He looked uncomfortable. It's going to be, maybe not the same type of pressure, but it's a Baltimore Ravens defense. Like they're always going to bring it with pressure and blitzes, especially the Cleveland Browns basically just gave him the blueprint and how to do it, shutting them out week one. Another bad weather game. But, like you said earlier in the podcast, or maybe before we were recording, Joe Burrow loves getting off to slow start, especially when he has adversity early in the season. So we've seen that history as well. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, competent wide receiver twos over there behind Zay Flowers, who's the wide receiver one who looks incredible. And he's just going to get better as the season goes, as he works more with Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews comes back after the quad injury. He looked like he almost could have gone this week. I would expect him to come back this week and look amazing. So yeah, I'm talking myself into it. I'm betting the Ravens. This will be my first bet of the slate. Not my best bet, but my first bet. Any more on that?
Nope, I think we covered it.
Hell yeah. Seattle Seahawks and Detroit Lions. Lions getting a lot of respect. Why wouldn't they? I think this line is spot on as far as the spread goes. 5.5. Lions are going to handle business. Seahawks might keep it close. Geno Smith, might have been a one-hit wonder. Maybe not have been a one-hit wonder, but either way, that Lions defense. And when I tell you Ford Field, my dog is joining me. When I tell you Ford Field is going to be losing their fucking mind with Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions playing at home, the best roster this fan base has ever seen in their lifetimes in the Super Bowl era. Maybe if there's a couple of old heads who were around before the Super Bowl era, maybe we've had some better rosters, but this Lions team is all that. They beat the Chiefs minus Travis Kelce, minus Chris Jones. You also have to take into account that Lions had some bad miscues and left a lot of points on the board and had some turnovers themselves, which kept the Chiefs in the game. Honestly, it should have been a blowout. So I love the Detroit Lions, and it sounds like you agree with me, Jacob Marshall.
Yeah, same page.
Yeah. JSN, by the way, total bust. I'm calling it right
now. Okay.
Body language shitty. Snap count low. Still competing with Lockett. Still competing with DK. They're not even giving a shot to Jake Bobo, who I think is better than JSN. I think JSN is going to be the bust of the draft. There's a reason he fell so late in the first round. I think Quentin Johnston and the other rest of the group that went right after him, Jordan Addison, are going to end up going down the history books as far superior wide receivers. This can be a miss that everyone just kind of got brainwashed into, like JSN's the best thing since Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and he's just not. He's just not it. JSN total bust. Anyways, moving on. Los Angeles Chargers, Tennessee Titans. The Titans are getting 3 points at home. Feels right to me. Chargers feel like a superior team. Titans have Vrabel, which he's going to keep that team in every single game. Great. Quentin Johnston, look for him. Speaking of which, look for him to get more targets. I rewatched that game. He was open. He just wasn't getting looked at. He wasn't high up in the progression, but he was open. And TCU fan, tell me what you think about Quentin Johnston.
Quentin Johnston scoring his first touchdown of his NFL career this weekend. And
yeah.
The Chargers win by 10.
Okay, so you're hammering the Chargers. I would love to hammer the Chargers with you. However, I am not super confident in their defense. So if I were to bet anything on this, I would lean over 46 and just hope the Chargers put up, like you said, like 36 points.
Yeah.
And let the Titans bump it over towards the end of the game. Yeah. Titans, we don't really know how that team is going to look like. Still an enigma to me. Well-coached team as always. We'll see if they can put it together. Major concerns at quarterback at Tennessee.
Well, and how
Moving
many
on.
carries did I want to say Henry only had 13 carries last week.
He
I don't
looked
know.
great.
Yeah,
Looked
but
great
I
when he
don't
had
know
the
what they were.
ball. Tajay Spears, they like Tajay Spears.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why you like that. Didn't watch the game yet. Just seen the box score. The Tennessee Saints game um, was a game I wasn't interested going into it because I wasn't high on either of the teams. Ended up being one of the best games of the slate. Tennessee's an enigma to me. Haven't watched the film. LA Chargers, big concerns on defense, which makes me want to bet the over of that game. If anything, that's more of a lean. Chicago Bears and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers getting 3 points, 3-point favorites at home against the hapless Bears, who I think have a massive head coaching issue. The Buccaneers look like a well-coached team, running it through Mike Evans and Baker by way of Baker Mayfield. They're going to air the ball out. I think Baker Mayfield might be fantasy relevant like the whole season, which is awesome because I just traded for him for your buddy, Andre Miller. Traded 2025 third round pick and Kendra Miller for Baker Mayfield in a dynasty superflex league. Feel really good about that after Baker Mayfield being like the seventh best quarterback in fantasy football in our format in week one, um, which we already covered earlier. Uh, Buccaneers and the Rams, I think two teams that have been totally written off preseason and teams that have very recently made the Super Bowl. And that kind of energy is still in the training facility in the room, in my opinion. And a lot of the players are still there that were on those Super Bowl running teams, um, including the coaching staff. Tampa Buccaneers -3 at home. I think the Bears are a dumpster fire. I don't know if they're going to be able to score many points on on this Buccaneers defense, which is really the anchor of the team. So I'm going to say Buccaneers -3, my number two bet of this slate. What do you think, Jacob Marshall?
Yeah, I agree. Bucks, I see winning this game. I totally fine giving up the points.
Yeah,
And I agree with you on the Bucks could make a playoff run
yeah.
or make it to the playoffs. I think part of the reason why is they have the benefit of being in the same division is Atlanta, New Orleans, and Carolina, and
Someone's got
none
to win
of
that
which
division.
really.
Someone's got to win that division. I said.
Yeah, I'm not as high on the Rams though, being in the division they're in.
Yeah, I think the Saints are dead in the water. Granted, they might look incredibly different when revenge body Alvin Kamara, who looks incredible in the preseason, comes back off a 3-game suspension. They got offensive weapons there. It's just I don't know if they're gonna be able to run it through Derek Carr. Yeah, the Buccaneers feels like the most the best value bet
Yeah,
to come out of that division. Um, the the Falcons are going to be solid. I don't think their defense is quite there yet to support that awesome running game. So that's really all they have there is a one-dimensional running game. It is a great running game, but it's one-dimensional. I love the Buccaneers. Moving on to the Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. The Packers
real quick, Jamie,
-2.
let's rapid fire these because I'm about to have to bounce.
Hell yeah, we'll rapid fire them, and I'll get to my best bet. Packers and Falcons. I love the Packers here. I think Jordan Love is for real. Don't love that it's in Atlanta. Just think Atlanta can keep it close. I think this line's right. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I like the Packers. I like them a lot. Jordan Love looked great.
Yeah, not totally convinced on that defense yet. They played the Bears week one, and like I said, I'm really low on the Bears. I'm like in Tampa Bay a lot right there. So I love the Packers, but I think that line's good. I think that could be a close game because the Falcons do have a powerful running offense with Bijan Robinson, the rookie, and Tyler Algier. Minneapolis Colts and Houston Texans. Okay, so this is a line. This is going to be one of my best bets. This will probably be my second best bet. At Houston, division game. Got to take that into account. We just saw what this Colts defense can do, and we saw what this Houston Texans offense can do, and how they run it by not running the ball, by passing it with their rookie quarterback CJ Stroud way too much, in my opinion. Um, Colts smash value right here. I don't think that was just luck of the draw, them keeping it close last week against a good Jags team that won a playoff game last year, and has only gotten better since then with the addition of Calvin Ridley. Um, I love the Colts here. Talk me out of it, Jacob.
I agree. Love the Colts. I think the other nice bet would be to take the under on this. I could see a very similar score here from what we saw
Yeah,
with the Baltimore Texans game last week.
yeah, and they're going to run the ball in Indianapolis if they have a lead. Like they're going to run Anthony Richardson. He
Yep.
ain't going to stop him. Granted, I think he had like a little bit of injury, so that's all like calculating in Anthony Richardson plays next week. Even if he's half go, like I'm taking the Colts just
Yeah.
because of that defense, like you said. So yeah, good one to pair parlay defense or the under with the Colts -1.5. Not a bad bet to parlay if that's your edge on the game. Um, Niners and Rams rapid fire here. Niners -7.5. Probably not enough respect to the Rams. I'm a little bit nervous that maybe San Francisco showed everybody how good they are last week. So that's why I'm probably going to lay off this game, and I've already bet on too many games already. So I would lean Rams, getting that many points at home. Super Bowl champs from 2 years ago. Matt Stafford, same quarterback, still there. Maybe they keep it close. I don't know. What do you think, Jacob?
I like the Niners in this one, even giving up
Okay.
a little over a touchdown. I think my concern with the Rams is just what are their weapons? How are they going to be able to keep up with the Niners? The Niners defense is still phenomenal. Um, I don't think the Rams are that bad this year. I just think Niners winning by 14 wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell, Puka Nakua, Kyrie Williams, I think you pronounce his name. Don't even know how to say his name. Starting running back for the Rams. Yeah, yikes. Um, Not a lot of weapons. You still got Matt Stafford, and Matt Stafford's done a lot more with a lot less. I've watched it my whole lifetime for the Detroit Lions. Um, so yeah, leaning Rams. Respect that you went 49ers. Only time will tell. Giants and Cardinals. Um, Two really shitty teams. Cardinals getting +5 at home. I guess I'd lean Cardinals. This is probably a game we should actually bet because no one else is going to.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Giants are that good. I think we saw how bad the Giants are. Granted, they got piss beat out of them, so maybe they bounce back with Dable as their head coach, getting them all fired up or whatever. Flying across the country to Arizona, it's a long flight. That's fine. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Cardinals. That's gonna be a bet for me. Cardinals +5, taking Cardinals and Josh Dobbs to like show up and okay. Um, Jets and Dallas. Dallas getting 9.5 points at home. Game I will be live at. Bought the tickets before the Aaron Rodgers injury, believe it or not. Bought tickets to see Aaron Rodgers play live. Not going to get to see Aaron Rodgers play live, maybe ever in my lifetime. I'm not at all upset about it. I didn't lose sleep about it last night. Definitely didn't at all. 9.5 points for the Cowboys seems right to me.
I agree.
Yeah, moving on. Washington Commanders, Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos getting 3.5 at home. Two enigma teams to me, just laying off of it. Don't know what either of these teams are. Maybe they figure it out in Denver. Maybe they figure it out in Washington with their new quarterback over there. Laying off of it seems right to me. Maybe Broncos slightly better team at home in a advantage position, which is vacant to the line of having an immense home field advantage early on in the season because they play at altitude. That's well documented. So probably laying off of this one. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I still really don't know what the Commanders are. I think they looked decent this weekend, so we'll
Yeah.
see. I like Brian Robinson. I like John Dotson. I like Terry McLaurin. So let's see how far Howell can take them.
Yep. On that note, professional uh, leagues on Underdog, we're still drafting Antonio Gibson over Brian Robinson, which is something I'll never be able to explain as long as I live. Never made sense to me at the time. In hindsight, it makes even less sense to me. Why were you doing it, people? Like, I don't know. Anyways, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots. Um, Dolphins -2 at New England. It is a divisional game. It's a prime time divisional game. New England Patriots look like they had a pulse. against the Eagles, who went to the Super Bowl last year. Dolphins looked absolutely incredible on offense, at least. Over-under is pretty high at 46.5. This seems right to me. Gillette Stadium is still Gillette Stadium, if that is what they still call it. Patriots home field advantage is notorious. Bill Belichick is a good coach, I think, still. Rookies played really well for the Patriots in week 1. Makes me nervous for week 2. Looks right to me. What do you think, Jacob?
Hammering the Dolphins on this one.
Really? So you're big. I mean, I love Tua. I think he's now the odds-on favorite to win the MVP, which might be a little bit of an overreaction to week 1. That being said, he was my pick for somebody to go all season without an injury. That was one of my bold takes on the podcast. So I'm a big believer in Tua. I got him in one of my dynasty leagues, and I feel like he's going to win me that dynasty league. Is where I got him. He's probably going to win a lot of people some dynasty drafts or some fantasy football drafts. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about betting against Bill Belichick after what I saw in week 1 and the Eagles game. Just want to see him one more week. And I like so many other games on this slate that I'm just not as confident on this one. That's why I'm laying off of it. I love that you're going Dolphins there. Moving on to the Saints and the Panthers, just 2 games left. A doubleheader on Monday night, which I don't feel like they told us about, but it is happening. 6:15. The Saints are playing the Carolina Panthers at Carolina. Rookie quarterback. Who knows what? Yeah, played really poorly. Bad coach situation. That is getting 3.5 points at home against a not great Saints team. Looks good to me. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah,
I'll take the Panthers with the points.
Yeah, maybe we cheer for the Panthers to beat the Saints to deflate their value.
Yeah.
And we bet on the Saints when Alvin Kamara comes back. I think he's really going to change the dynamic of that offense. Finally, Cleveland Browns. This is my best bet for the slate. It is a Monday night bet. And I think you know which way I'm heading with this one. The Cleveland Browns. Sounds like to me you're a little higher up than me on the Pittsburgh Steelers than I am. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are trash. I think Kenny Pickett is trash. I think the preseason was just an illusion. I think Mike Tomlin is the only advantage the Steelers have in this game. Answer me this, Jacob. Who's got the better quarterback, the Browns or the Steelers? Kenny Pickett or Deshaun Watson?
Oh, it's the Browns, no doubt. That's not even a question.
Yep. Deontay Johnson out for this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which means the Browns have a better wide receiver room. Correct. Tight ends, you can say, is a wash. It's one position. Who cares anyway? Njoku and Freiermuth. Offensive line, definitely have to say the Browns. Okay, so that's all of the offense minus a tight end, which is a draw. And obviously running backs, Browns, right? Nick Chubb looks incredible. Probably going to have a career year at the age of 27. Defensive wise, Pittsburgh Steelers missing some guys on the defensive line, some big pieces, if I'm not mistaken, for this game. Zadarius Smith, Miles Garrett, a packed veteran professional defensive interior line. Good linebackers. I would say probably maybe the Steelers have better linebackers. The Browns for this game will have a better D line. The secondary for the Browns is way, 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 way better. Jim Schwartz leading the way there. So I think really the only advantage that the Pittsburgh Steelers have in this game is home field, their head coach, and their linebacker room. And the rest of that, the Browns are far superior. Granted, maybe on Deshaun's first away game, he has some issues with some heckling, and maybe that throws him off. But I think Kenny Pickett's going to be pretty thrown off by Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett taking his head off every single play, too. So maybe not a game that Pickett even survives with his injury history. Potentially having a concussion, denied it, maybe had a concussion in the second play of their week 1 game. Cleveland Browns -2. Absolutely bringing the hammer down on it. My best bet for the week. What do you think, Jacob? You're taking the Steelers?
No, not taking the Steelers. No, I'm 100% on board with you on this one.
Hell yeah! Well, thank you for being on the show, Mr. Jacob Marshall. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, Jacob Marshall Comedy on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Give me a follow, and yeah, I'm excited to see you on Thursday, man.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. Oh, so you are going to be here in studio on Thursday?
Yeah.
So we got CBD Davis, we got you confirmed, and a mystery guest who I haven't invited yet. Very excited for it. Thank you for being on the show. Anything else you need to promote?
Nope, nothing else to promote right now.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get the hell out of here. Take a Marshall, everybody. And this has been What Are You Talking About? What Are We Talking About? Which is the name of my show with Jamie Jakes. I am that guy. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please subscribe. If you have a question or you think we're an idiot or you agree with us, please leave a comment. Ring the bell so you get notifications whenever we do post a video. I'm trying to post a lot. I'm going live a lot on Sunday night football and Thursday night football, live watch parties. And then I'm live tweeting on JAM, JKS for the Monday night Manning games when my heart isn't broken by a broken Achilles heel. Thank you for watching. Good night.